Early intervention has the power to do a lot for the child victim and for the community as a whole. So for the child victim directly, it has the potential to stop that abuse from continuing, right? Which is huge. The average age of disclosure for child sexual abuse, specifically in our country, is 52. And for all maltreatments, we know that delayed disclosure is more common than having the abuse happen and then immediately disclosing right away. So kids do need confidence to be able to disclose. They need to know that they have somebody that they can trust, that they're gonna respond appropriately, and that they're gonna be taken care of. So early intervention, being able to identify grooming and early boundary violating behaviors can be super effective. Grooming is a term a lot of people know pretty well, but it's hard to identify in real time. In retrospect, we can call it out and say that was grooming, but it's really hard to identify it in real time. There's recent research about what we're calling boundary violating behaviors, and I'm obsessed with it because it really helps people understand that grooming is just that. It's boundary violating behavior. So anytime we see somebody crossing a boundary, we got to practice that bystander intervention we all learned in school and stand up and speak up about it. Every time we see someone crossing a boundary, no matter how big or how small it is, and we just let it go, we're showing everybody around us that we're not protecting kids. So if you see, someone giving an unconsensual hug or threatening to give a gift only for a hug or something like that, stand up and say, oh, we don't do that, that's not safe, and simply correct it. It's not a punitive thing, it's not to embarrass anyone, but we need to be able to show kids that we're confident speaking up so that they can be as well. Education is huge for kids. In our society, I'm the first one to say we don't do a good job at this. We really do leave kids in the dark when it comes to talking about sexual health. We teach sexual health as something that is the absence of pregnancy or the absence of having an STD or an STI, which of course is good, but there's much more to it. And that starts, honestly, from infancy. It starts with teaching kids the proper names for private body parts, making sure that they know real names, they're not using nicknames. That one little thing does so much for kids. It reduces confusion, which can lead to victimization. So teaching kids not just the real names for private body parts, but also body safety rules in general, helping them identify boundaries, modeling boundaries for them. Oh, I don't want a hug right now. Thank you so much, but please ask before you give me a hug. Doing that helps kids learn what is appropriate, what's not appropriate, what's safe, what's not safe, so that they have less risk just moving throughout the world and experiencing something unsafe. But it also reduces their vulnerability for being victimized. So there's been several offenders who've gone on the record to say if they met a child who knew the real names for private body parts, or they saw a body safety list in a classroom or in somebody's home, that would immediately tell them not to touch these kids because they knew that they were probably going to get caught. So education is huge in reducing victimization and also just empowering kids to understand themselves and understand where their boundaries should be to keep themselves safe, and others too. There's a lot of different things we can do in our everyday lives to help prevent abuse before it occurs. My number one, to try to boil it down and make it simple, is to develop open communication with the kids in your lives. Doing that and telling them that they can always come to you if they have questions, if they do need help, but even if they just want to talk about things. Making sure that kids know who their safe adults are and that they have lots of them throughout the community, at home, at school, maybe at soccer practice or dance class or wherever else they go. Knowing who their safe adults are and making that a normal conversation in the home gives them the empowerment and self-awareness to know that if something does happen to them, it's not their fault and there are people there to protect them that they can go to, and they're going to be more likely to go to them sooner rather than hold on to this secret for later. And I would also just say, take more training. I think parents and teachers and community members who care for kids and work with kids, they receive a lot of training, right? They're trained out, but a lot of the training that's required isn't training specifically to child abuse and neglect. And so seeking that training out, we have a Talk Protect Report program. It is a robust program. We go through lots of different ideas, things like making a safety plan for the home and the classroom, making a safety map of those safe adults we were talking about. Even just hanging a body safety poster in your space can go a really long way. And it's hard to measure the ripple effects of all those small efforts in the long run.